and we walk into the locker room, and a few of the DBs were in there before me, and they just stopped sort of right in front of my locker, and they're like, no, he got number 1. I hear it before I even walk into the locker room.
Oh yeah.
It sparked something in me. It was like, oh, you're not the best player. In North Carolina, I was the fastest, could jump the highest, all that, cool. And I wasn't excited. Like, it was like, all right, well, I'm way better than these kids, right? When I got to Tampa, I'm like, oh, okay, here it is. Like, this is what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, stop. Kind of look.
Hold up. Who's this cat?
Yeah. I remember the twins. They were like, hey, what's up? They were like, yo, what was... And I just remember them because they came out matching. They had matching gloves, matching sweatpants. And I'm like, they cool. Like, they got to be cool. Like, so when I got their approval, like when I heard them talking, I'm like, okay. I'm like, who is this though? Like, who's this guy? This is the real moment of realization. I was like, oh, Jesus. We run out the swamp. It's going crazy. I'm like, okay, here we go. It's game time, right? We kick the ball off, so we're on defense first. And the defense runs off the field. And I'm sitting right next to the coach. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, I'm not even playing. What's going on?
Welcome, everybody. I am here, Preston Jackson, with a special guest. Warden High School, matter of fact, they retired his number. So let's just say Warden High School All-American, Warden High School Hall of Famer, whole 9, SEC All-American, a NFL first-round draft pick for our Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and plenty other accolades. But before we jump into all this great stuff that we're going to talk about, let me introduce you to Vernon Hargreaves. Vernon, welcome to the show, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Coach.
Yeah, and now
they don't know. They don't even know. We go. Hey, look, we go way back.
Way back. Vernon, and quick story. So Vernon's coming. Where was that? Carolina? Your dad was at ECU, right?
Yep, ECU.
All right, so Pops is coaching ECU, so they're coming from the Carolina area. They come in town. I'm a young defensive back coach at Hillsborough High School. Vernon sets foot in the school, and they're like, yo, young buck can play a little bit. And, I played a little bit in my day. And my first impression, Vernon gets under the squat rack and does a perfect squat under the squat rack. So, oh, okay, he's got a little bend to him, loosen the hips. I like it. We get into a 7-on-7 tournament. Vern don't know no coverages just yet. We ain't taught him our defense or nothing. So I want to see what I got. I already had 2 pretty much starters at that point, but when we wanted to see what a young freshman could do, threw him in there and said, Vern, play cover 4, get D quarters. They throw the ball at him, they challenge him. Vernon rises up to 3rd level, gets interception on his first play. So, oh yeah, we got something here. We got something here. Consequently, his family ended up purchasing a home over in the Warden area, so he ended up attending Warden. I didn't actually get to coach him throughout his career, but we've stayed connected and just been following his whole career, and we are huge Hargraves fans on this side.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah, that's where it started. I don't know. A lot of people might not know that, but when I first moved down here, it was actually after my freshman, so my 10th grade year, going into my 10th grade year. Hillsborough was a school I was supposed to go to. My dad, he told me about this coach at Hillsborough. He played DB because my dad, he knows me, and he knows what would get my attention, what would get me to want to go play, because I was never like I was a different type of athlete. Like, getting me to go to camps and get me to go to tournaments and 7-on-7 stuff. I was just like, I don't really want to do all this stuff. Like, my mom had to drag me to get me to go places. So when it came to the off-season workouts, right, I was just moving, right? I'm 15, just turning 16. So I'm not trying to work out as I move, right? I'm like, Dad, I'm not, come on. I just want to chill. Like, I'm just moving to Tampa, new spot, new city, et cetera, right? So he tells me all about you. He says, what I'm saying, where you played, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, all right, fine. I'll go. All right, let's do it. Let's go see what it's about. And it ended up being probably one of the best things that I could have done when I got to Tampa. Obviously, because you being who you are in Tampa, you know what I'm saying. It speaks for itself. But also, just me being young and me not really understanding really what I was. I mean, I played DB, but my freshman year I played varsity and I played behind the senior, so I didn't play that much. Right. I didn't really, you know what I'm saying? I was kind of there. I was there. I was just kind of like, whatever. I wasn't really all the way into it. I just kind of played just to play. And, I was ready for basketball. So I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to play basketball. Right. But fast forward. So getting to Tampa, just being around you that short period of time that it was off-season workouts. And the guys at Hillsborough, who was it? Charles Lovett.
See love. Yep.
Yeah, see love, and just seeing how you guys worked and going into that weight room and doing that. We did 10 sets of 10 on squats. I'm like,
Mm.
what is going on?
Something crazy.
Not the first day, but a few days later. And it really gave me that visual. Like it kind of. So I'm from Miami. I came from Miami, went to North Carolina, and North Carolina is different. It's not Tampa. It's not Tampa, especially when it comes to football. Right? It's a basketball state for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But moving back to Tampa, you know, just that little 2-3 weeks, maybe like a month,
Mm-hmm.
it sparked something in me. It was like, oh, you're not the best player in North Carolina. I was the fastest, could jump the highest, all that, cool. And I wasn't excited. Like it was like, all right, well, I'm way better than these kids, right? When I got to Tampa, I'm like, oh, okay, here it is. Like this is what it's supposed to be. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember telling my dad, I'm like, okay, this is where I'm going to school. Like I'm going to play for coach. Like this is what it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? So all that to say, that kind of got a little spark in. I'm like, okay, now I want to play DB.
Right.
This is what I'm doing. I started looking up DBs. Who's Revis? Who's Brent Grimes?
Mm-hmm.
Who's this? That. So really started paying attention to the game and really started like when I started hearing about Charles and my dad's like, he got 40 something offers. I said, he got 40 something offers. But when you look at him, I'm like, I'm taller than him. I'm like, I'm bigger than him right now. I'm like, I could do this. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Yeah.
40 offers. I'm playing for him. I said, oh, I like this dude already. Talking about you. I'm like, I like coach already. I'm like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Things ended up working out how they worked out. I ended up at Warren.
Yeah,
But
and it was a beautiful story from there.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so you go through the process. You start to get hot sophomore year, junior year, and I remember at the time I'm handling recruiting at Hillsborough High School, and we had college coaches coming through all the time. And I'm like, yo, you need to go see this kid at Wharton. He was here, but he's gonna be this, and you start getting hot, right?
Right.
Talk to us about the pressures that started to kind of add on as now you're kind of flaming your junior year, going into your senior year. You're really high. You're a national recruit, and college coaches are calling all the time. Media sources are calling time all the time. Obviously, BCP, we being in that media space, but we having a personal relationship. We're trying to get information all the time. Talk to us about what that was like going through that process.
You know, it was for me. It was everything that I wanted. Right. For most young guys, when we come up, we're playing Pop Warner ball. We're growing up as kids. It's like we want all the offers. We want all this and that, the third. And kind of like you said, we don't understand that comes with the phone calls, that comes with the people trying to reach out to you, that comes with the, you know what I'm saying, going to camps, going to visits, going to do this, that, the third. Like no free. It comes with no free time as well, right? But we don't see that aspect of it. Um, but for me, luckily for me, my dad, he's been doing it. He had been doing it for 20 some years by the time I got there, right? So, you know, at him being a coach, he really broke it down to me, sat me down. We had the conversation, me, him, and my mom. And this is at the very beginning when I got my first offer, so my sophomore year, and he told me what it was going to be like. He told me what type of player that colleges see me as. You know what I'm saying? What I should be, where you know what I'm saying, et cetera, et cetera. And so for me, and I hate to say this because it's gonna sound kind of crazy, but for me it was easy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I have both my parents. I have my dad who've been through it. He recruited the top of the top players, been there, seen the good stories, seen the bad stories, right? So my pops just kind of told me, he's like, you control your recruiting. You talk to who you want to talk to,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't have to answer the phone for who you don't want to answer the phone for, right? You take your visits, you talk to your coaches, see who you like, see what schools you want to go to, and then from there, you control it. If you don't want to answer the phone that day, you don't have to answer the phone, right? And my dad was kind of telling me, he was like, listen, if the team wants you, it's one missed phone call is not going, you know what I'm saying? Now, keep in contact with them,
Right.
don't ignore them for weeks, right? But it doesn't have to. If you're tired and you just gonna get home from school or whatever it is, go put the phone down. You'll be okay,
Mm-hmm.
right? If they want you, they're gonna come get you. And that's kind of the approach I took with it. right? I wasn't really. I let teams recruit me. Right. I'm not
Right.
trying to. I wasn't reaching out. And no, y'all. If y'all want me, y'all can come get me. Y'all can
Right.
recruit me. That's kind of my mom's. That was my mom's kind of motto. Like they'll come get you.
Right.
Right. You keep doing what you're doing. Stay out of trouble. Right. Keep your grades up, and everything will be everything. And that's kind of that's the mindset I took with it. Like real simple.
Yep.
Real simple. I didn't think too much of it. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I enjoyed all the coaches coming to get me out of class. That was awesome. I was never in
Mm-hmm.
class. That was a good part of it. But it's just and this is kind of like a weird way of saying it, but it's just enjoying it, right? Enjoy it how you want to enjoy it, right?
Right.
I'm the type you kind of know, just from meeting me from when you did, you kind of know I'm kind of laid. I'm quiet. I'm not really going to talk too much. I didn't need the tension. I don't really, what I'm saying. That's just my personality,
Right.
right? Guys are different. I grew up. I mean, I went to school with guys that wanted all the coaches. They wanted all the Instagram posts. They wanted all that, and that's fine, right? If you can handle that, go for it.
Right.
Go for all saying post your top 5 schools and the visits and all that. Like, see, I didn't do any of that. I didn't post the top 5 school. I didn't really, what I'm saying. I just committed when I committed, and that was it. Didn't really make too big of an announcement of it because at the end of the day, I knew there's a bigger goal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because committing to a school isn't that's the very, very, very beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the very, or I'll say probably the second step, right? You got to get the offer, right? And then committing to the school, that's probably the second step. And when you get there, that's when the work starts. And I think, saying that now, saying that out loud, hearing myself say that, I think that's where my dad plays a role that I can't even describe because he prepared me. He was like, listen, committing it, cool. Now you're in college. Now what are you going to do?
Right.
Right. So that was my mindset. It was like once I got, saying 20 some offers, cool. I got the schools that I wanted. I was like, okay, now how am I going to do what these players in front of me are doing? Because now I
Mm-hmm.
want to go to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That was kind of my mindset. I'm a chill person in general, so it didn't really bother me too much. But I also had great parents. My mom was not going for Miss Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going for any of that. You call her, so Miss Jackie, yeah, she handled a lot of that for me. And my dad, man, my
Yep.
dad, he really showed me the way and showed me how it should go. And
And
that's really my parent.
I'm trying to remember your timeline. So Pops was coaching at USF, and USF was the first offer, right?
Yep.
And USF at the time, trying to get going, trying to bring in some big time recruits. Who was the second offer? Who was like the second major offer?
Oh man.
The one that just
Uh,
jumped out like, all right, I may be on to something.
I think it might have been Miami or Florida State.
Okay.
I
So
think
Miami, Florida
USF.
State, and then Florida jumps in relatively
Yep.
quickly because the big two are in. That third one's got to come, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now we're gonna kind of I'm a double back this, but I want to backtrack to 7-on-7 in high school. All right, when you were on the Team Tampa team, 7-on-7 in the state was kind of just getting going, right? And it was real exciting because now you're bringing the best players and putting them on one team. And nobody was really trying to click up as far as recruit players at other schools. Y'all just like playing with the best players. So, you got Hargraves, you got Pete DeNovo, you got Artavis Scott, and you got George Campbell. God, the list just goes on. I'm gonna forget more. And Alvin Bailey, I could just, oh man,
Yeah.
it
Talk
just
about this
goes
prime
on. That
time coach. You don't
that
even know.
first Team Tampa era was silly.
Coach. You don't even know.
It
You
was
don't even know. We
silly,
talk about this all the time.
all
I'm
of it.
telling you.
It was
Yes.
ridiculous. And off that team, you may have had at least, come on now, help me out. At least
Okay.
7 guys that touched NFL field. All right, so we got
I think
Aguilar.
both the twins, Nelson,
Yep.
Aguilar, Nelson, Leon. Did Leon McQuay? Did he ever
I'm gonna
do
count.
that?
I'm gonna count. I'm gonna count Leon. Let's count Leon, and we'll double. I will fact check. Well, I'm gonna count Leon.
Okay.
All right, we got Dante. We got Fowler.
Say yep.
Okay.
Who else on defense? I know.
We got Tay. We got Artavis.
Hey Scott. Yep. Um.
George had a preseason. Camp George had a preseason.
Yep.
Sheesh.
And there's gotta be one more. I'm forgetting somebody. I
Chase
can't
Litton.
name no one. It's like
Chase.
7.
Chase Litton.
Chase.
All right, we're almost at 10.
Chase was after me though. Yeah, he was after me. He
Okay.
was after me. Yeah. Um. I'm trying to think about my team. I can't even. We were good though. We were good. We had some good receivers. You know what I'm thinking about? We had the kid that went to my Travis with the afro.
Yep.
He
Oh
went to
yeah.
Miami.
He went to Miami. Yep.
He went in the, I don't know if he went league, but he was on the team.
Yep.
The tall white boy from
From
Tampa Bay.
TC. From
TC.
TC. Yep. From Tampa. Oh my gosh, it's gonna drive me. I loved him. He was underrated, bro. He used to break cats down with his routes.
Yeah, we used to kill in Team
Oh my god,
Tampa.
it's gonna drive me crazy now. Oh my god, he's gonna kill me too, man. I loved him. Oh god, don't. I'm gonna look it up before we finish this interview. I'm gonna know that
Yeah,
name. I
yeah.
apologize. But
Yeah.
let's just stay on that track. So the good. What are in your impression now, looking back on it? What was the good and the bad about 7-on-7 when you were coming up?
Well, I'll start with the bad. The bad. I don't think there was much bad about it.
Okay.
Honestly, I think that was where I think I got my exposure.
Okay.
Me personally, you know, I think that's where I got my 5 stars. Right, I'll say it like that. Right,
Mm-hmm.
going out there with Josh Newberg and all them guys and going to practice. And I
Shout out to
remember,
Josh. Shout out to Josh.
shout out to Josh. My first 7-on-7 Team Tampa practice. My dad had to drag me out the house. I don't think you were. I don't think you were there.
No,
I don't think you were there.
I was tapping in and out with it.
Yeah. So my dad had to drag me out the house. I'm telling you, Coach, I did not want to go. Like he'll call you, he'll tell you know he has to tell you the story because
Right.
I'm good. Like I already it's bad though because at this point I already had offers.
Yep.
I had about 10, 12 offers just after my sophomore year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm good. Football season's over. Like I'm good. Like I'm not telling him this. I don't talk to my dad like that, but I'm like, I don't want to go. Like I don't want to do it. Like I'm like, who's going out there? I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like I just don't want to do it. Right. So he dragged me out there, bro. He dragged me out there. I'm like, all right, fine. So I go out there, end up having the best time. It's practice. It's our first practice. End up having the best time of my life. All that to say, my first rep, I covered Nelson. I didn't know who Nelson was though.
Right.
Right. And I think that also helped me. Was my lack of my lack of knowledge of who guys were in Tampa, right? Because I went to cover Nelson and I just covered him like I would cover anybody else. I didn't like right. Sometimes when guys see other guys, and I talk about it all the time, like when you get to the league, when you see Julio Jones is different from when you see the backup receiver that you know, right? It's a little different. You cover him a little different, right? Versus if you don't know who he is, then shoot, it'll probably be a lot better players in the league if you just take off the names and numbers of people, like right. So all that to say, Nelson, he's committed to USC. He's all this and all that. I didn't know this at the time, right? I go out there and cover him. Boom, I do a pretty good job, get the ball down, and everybody kind of like, stop. They kind of look.
Hold up, who's
like,
this cat?
Yeah. I remember the twins. They were like, "Hey, what's up?" They were like, "Yo, what was?" And I just remember them because they came out matching. They had matching gloves, matching sweatpants. And I'm like, they cool. Like, they got to be cool. Like, so when I got their approval, like when I heard them talking, I'm like, okay. I'm like, who is this though? Like, who's this guy? Right.
Right.
So practice goes on. We end up having a good practice. We end up actually going 1-on-1. Speaking about Travis with the fro, we actually end up going a 1-on-1 session at the end. And Coach Grady, he tries trying me because I'm having a good day.
Right.
And he's like, oh, you can catch a ball on Vern.
Right.
So all they don't know who I am. So they like, come on, man, let's do it. So Travis, that was the time when he was catching all the jump balls. They didn't know him jump ball down the line, right?
Yep.
So they tried me like 4 times on a goal ball on jump balls. Long story short, didn't go. And after that, Newberg was out there, right? And then after that, it seemed like boom, it took off.
So for listeners, Josh Newberg at the time was a prominent writer for either Rivals or I don't know if 247 was in, so I'm gonna say Rivals.
Yeah,
All right. So he's he was covering may have been covering the state of Florida, possibly for Rivals. And Rivals, anybody out there from Rivals listening, I apologize if I'm getting this wrong, but Josh Newberg was very much involved. His face was always around the kids. They trusted him. He was had a large platform in the web space. So when Josh kind of dropped your name, folks are going to listen. So that's just a little background. So when Vern's talking about Josh Newberg and he's saying how Josh Newberg played a role in, I guess, in the media space to get his name out. That's where that came in. Go ahead, Vern.
Yep, definitely. No, you hit it right on the head. Yep, he's I think it was 24/7 Sports though, but
Okay.
that's what it seemed like it was. He was out there at the practice, he was watching, and I think that's what did it, right? I really had a good day, right? It just happened to be my day, and it was one of those things like right place, right time type of deals, and from there it took off. So I think that describes the good of it for
Mm-hmm.
me, right? But I don't. I love it. I love 7-on-7. I love playing 7-on-7. I love doing it. It's fun. It's relaxing. It's chill. It's not as it's not as uptight, right? Coaches aren't really like they aren't going too hard on you as if it were pads,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's kind of just relaxed, free flowing vibe. You can celebrate when you score. You know what I'm saying? So I love 7-on-7. I love all the tournaments going on now. Now they got all types of
It's
stuff going on.
bananas.
So
What's
love
your
it.
best Coach Grady or Coach McQuay story?
Oh, okay. It will definitely be Coach Grady because that's who I talked to. That was like really my point of contact.
Okay.
Let's see, Coach Grady, man. I don't really have a funny story, but I could just tell you kind of like our relationship, my relationship with Coach Grady was, and just like how we kind of operated. So, Coach Grady, when I first met him, I met him through his son. Well, I think I met him. No, I think Coach Grady reached out to my dad or one way or another. I think my dad reached out and connected us or whatever because he wanted me to work out with this guy named Denny.
Okay.
He had a spot on Impact Fitness in the off season, so linked up through that. Started working out with Denny at this little spot, and I loved it, man. It was a good workout, good vibe, whole bunch of good guys just in there working out in the off season. So that's kind of where it clicked, and then from there I went to Team Tampa, and then from there we were just clicked in. You know what I'm saying? We were just locked in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in school. I'm at Florida, and Coach knew we needed money, right? It was me and Jordan Sherrod.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's who me and Jordan Sherrod, we committed together, and we also played Team Tampa together.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of talked to Grady together because we were kind of together. We were kind of going through the motions together, et cetera, et cetera. So me and Jordan, we were coming back home to Tampa, and Coach Grady, he knew we needed money. Like it was one of those, he didn't have to ask. Like he knew, like saying we're just college kids. Like we
Right.
needed money. We weren't, what I'm saying. So it is what it is. So instead of just saying giving us some money and just having us go about our day, he had me and Jordan. He had this property. I don't even know what part of Tampa it is now.
What's
I
it
don't know,
near?
somewhere. I can't even remember now. I can't even think about where it was, but it was just a big open field that he bought, just open property that he
Okay.
planned on building on. And he was like, y'all want to make some money while y'all from school, then help me build this fire pit.
Okay.
Me and Jordan like, what?
What?
No, this is after the season, so like I said, we're supposed to be chilling. We ain't really supposed to be doing too much. Like this is our time off.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Most guys, like, they're getting up to scramble up whatever money they can. They going to Miami, going to the beach, trying to do whatever they want to do, right? Me and Jordan, we're like, bro, we're going home, bro. Like, this is like, it's over. Right? Coach Grady's like, yeah, man, I got something for y'all, man. Y'all come up, let's build this fire pit. We like, what? He's like, I'm going to pay you. All right, come over
All
there. Let's
right.
go. Let's do it. So for about a week, me and Jordan were out there making concrete, putting bricks on, making a little fire pit for him on his little property. I wonder how that fire pit's doing, man. But, yeah. That's kind of funny. That was one of the stories that we had coming back from school. I think it might have been like spring break or something like that.
I'm
But
gonna
that's
holler at
kind of the
G.
relationship.
I'm gonna holler at Big G inside that fire pit
Yeah,
door
yeah.
if it's even
He's gonna
still
be like, yeah,
standing.
we're like, what? You remember that? Who told you
Right.
that?
So now
Yeah.
we're gonna fast forward. You're weighing your options between which three schools to commit to.
So at the time, I wanted to go to USC,
Okay.
University of Southern Cal, Florida, and that was really it. I didn't have a top three. I didn't really have a top five. I was
Okay.
just kind of going with the flow. My mom, she tried to. She was like, drop. She was like, you need to release the top five so teams know. You need to release the top five so coaches know. And I was like, no. I'm like, nah. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I didn't want to do that because I don't know. I don't know why I didn't do it, but I just didn't. I never released top five, top three, none of that. I never told my parents like top three, top five. Never really told anybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But as I took my visits, there was just schools that I liked. So I went out to USC, loved it. Nelson was out there. He took me around campus. And I mean, that just speaks for what he was
Hmm.
being out there. He had at the cafe, at the little cafe spot, he had a sandwich named after him. And I
Mm.
just thought that was, I was like, I'm coming here. I'm like, it's
Right.
over. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. So it was USC and really Florida. Those were the main two, right? So the USC visit, that really got me.
Okay.
And then Florida. Yeah.
Now you ultimately end up coming to Florida. Um, I think your freshman year, were you the nickel your freshman year?
At Florida?
Yeah.
No. I started on the outside.
Okay, so you
Well,
started
I didn't
outside.
start the first year. Yeah, that's actually a funny story too.
All right,
I'll
go
tell
with
you a
it.
little
Go
bit
with it.
about
Go with it.
that. Yep.
So yeah,
A
go
little
with that
bit. A
story.
little. Yeah. I'm about to get into it. A little bit about the recruiting. Going back to kind of your first question. Um, a lot of guys, and I didn't even know this, but a lot of guys would, in, from high school to college, would go in, and not really. It's not really the players, probably more so the parents, like whoever's representing. Like they would go in and they would ask, like, who's playing, like who's the starter, when will my son play, et cetera, right? And I think my dad being a coach, that was never a thing, right? You're not going to ask like who's starting, when will my son play, that type of deal, right? So when I commit to Florida, I have no, I'm not even thinking about when my time will come to play or if I'll even play. Right. I know I'm a 5-star recruit. I know I'm the best. I'm confident in myself. But as far as the college game goes and the logistics behind it and kind of like you don't just come in and play because you're a freshman, right? I didn't know that though. I was just thinking like, shit, I'm gonna start probably. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? However it may go, right? But all that to say, there was Marcus Roberson and Luchez Purifoy in front of me, right? They're juniors. They're projected top. Now, I know all this now because I did my homework on it now, and it was just crazy to me because I had no perception of really what was going on. I was just going with I was just going with it, right? So in front of me was Luchez Purifoy and Marcus Roberson, right? Top two projected first round draft picks,
Mm.
right? I didn't know this. I didn't meet them when I went to Florida for my visit. I was hanging out with a different group of people, like different group of players.
Right.
I didn't meet them. I didn't even talk to them. I didn't really talk to any DBs. I didn't really care to. That wasn't my thing. I didn't need to go to a school and seek. I just wanted to go to the school, and I was going to make the decision for myself, right?
Hmm.
Because mind you, I have been around college campuses my whole life. My dad coached at University of Miami, then ECU. So I've seen college campuses. I've been on. I've seen it all, right? So I didn't need much. I needed like certain things that I wanted to see that you know what I'm saying? Cool. So fast forward, I commit to Florida. We get to training camp, and I get to training camp, and then I start running with the twos, and that's when I kind of had a moment. I was like, oh, okay, I'm a backup. Okay, cool. But I wasn't tripping. I wasn't like crying. I was like, okay, cool. This is what is going. So we get to the film room, and I see. I'm like, oh, that's Marcus. I'm like, oh, that's Pure. I'm like, okay. Oh, this is because I don't know. Our recruiting was different. I didn't meet the team. We didn't meet the team till it was damn near time for training camp.
Okay.
So
Okay.
because they separated the freshmen and the other guys from workout, so I knew all the freshmen. But as far as meeting all the older guys and stuff, that kind of came as training camp started. So cool. Fast forward, training camp goes by. I do have a good training camp, and the game comes. So it's game week, and the game comes, and I'm getting good reps, right? Because T-Rob, my coach, Tavares Robinson, best coach that I've ever had. I love him to death. He knew what he was doing. Looking back on it, I know he was practicing. I was practicing so hard. I'm thinking I'm playing.
Okay.
I don't know the depth chart. I'm not looking at the depth chart. I'm not asking coach if I'm playing. I know better than like, I'm a coach's kid. I'm not gonna ask you if I'm playing. I'm just I'm just like, hey, I'm ready to play. That's
Right.
all I'm saying. Like I'm ready to play. So Saturday comes, we're playing Toledo. And this is the real moment of realization. I was like, oh Jesus. We run out the swamp. It's going crazy. I'm like, okay, here we go. It's game time, right? We kick the ball off, so we're on defense first. And the defense runs off the field, and I'm sitting right next to the coach. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, I'm not even playing. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, oh shit, what am I? Oh, excuse my language. I'm sorry. Excuse my language. I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay. And mind you, I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I'm not like about to cause a hissy fit or nothing like that. But I'm like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. So I'm watching the game, and I actually told this story on my podcast. It's actually on my Instagram. This is how I got number one. I
Okay.
had made a bet with coach about my number. We'll tell that story a little bit later. But
Yeah.
so fast forward, I wrap this story up, man. So the game's starting, and I'm standing at this coach, and they're playing, and I'm not even in the game. I'm like, what's going on? Cool. So halftime comes up. We got probably about a maybe 14-point lead, and coach comes to the sideline. He's like, "You ready to play?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready to play." You know, you can ask him. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready to play." I'm like, "Duh." Uh, cool. So he puts me in the game. I end up getting a pick, like my second series in the game, and that was it. The rest was history.
That was
So
it.
that was like kind of so recruiting for me, and kind of forgot why I was telling that story, but that's kind of how I handled recruit. I didn't know. I didn't really even know that I had two guys in front of me that were supposed to go in the first round. Now they did some things that so they messed themselves up. They derailed themselves, which helped me. It put me right into the position and had me all SEC freshman, all that, all the good stuff. So I started off my career, boom. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, I hate to say this, but it's the truth. But those guys, they helped me by what I'm saying, they didn't do what they were supposed to do,
Right.
and came right in and boom, took over, and that was it. It was wraps.
You going to Florida was just warmed my heart. I uh I was a I don't back in my day you call us blue chips player. So being a blue chip was what everybody wanted to be. You could ask pops. That was kind of the thing before the star rating came out. So I was trying to get to that blue chip. Never really hit that blue chip spot, but I really wanted to go to Florida and play at Florida. But they had at that time they had got their top three corners. I was fourth on their board. And I was behind Lito Shepherd, and Lito Shepherd's about Lito, yeah, yeah. The Gators know about Lito. Um, so they ended up getting their top three corners. So I'm asked out. I don't get to go to Florida. I wanted to go there, play at Florida in the worst way. So you going to Florida is like, all right, kind of. I was a Gator through you. Like I was living, I was living out my swamp life through you. So now you're an SEC freshman. Um, Freshman year goes by, you have a solid freshman campaign. When you start really getting confident in that SEC conference, what was your best game? Like, when did you know you were in that zone? What game did you like, yo, I'm all over the place? What was your best performance?
In college, it was more so about the lack of action that I got that let me know that I was where I was supposed to be.
Okay.
I think we played. I think we had back-to-back games. Um, can't recall. It might have been I think that was my sophomore year. That was my sophomore year. And my biggest thing at corner was I uh, I wanted to be talked about how Revis was talked about. Right. When
Okay.
they talked about Revis, they didn't even go to his side. It was just one receiver over there, just him and the receiver, and the play is going the other way. That was my whole thing. That's what I wanted.
Okay.
That's where I wanted to be. Right. I would rather have that than to have 3 picks and a touchdown. I would rather have that. Like, put me over there on the island and don't even look this way. That was my whole thing, right?
Mm.
And actually, it happened in my sophomore year. I believe there was like three or four games, and it was Missouri and South Carolina are the two specific two that I remember. And Missouri, they were just putting the guy way past the numbers, plus, because they know we play man to man, we play press, right? So like the first 3 series, they're flexing them way outside, and I'm pressed up. I'm thinking I'm about to get some action. I'm thinking it's 1-on-1, and I'm not getting the guy. He's literally like taking 2 steps, like he's damn near on the sideline, and he's just taking 2 steps, and he's just running me off,
Mm.
right? So like the third series, I'm like, yeah, this is what it was. And then we go back to the film room, and my coach, he kind of told me, he kind of said that he's like, listen, they're not going to his side. He's like, this is where the play is going, and I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah. So that was probably my sophomore year, probably mid-season. It wasn't a play that I made. It was the lack of plays that I was getting, and I was like, yeah, they're not going to me. Like, you can see it on the film, like, yeah, they're not going at me, right? And if they would go at me, it'd be one deep ball, one like double move off a trick play or something like that. And
Just to catch you sleeping.
yep.
Who was that time during your era of Florida? Who was that guy? Who was that dude in the locker room? Like, he demanded the respect. Who was that dude?
On our team, on Florida,
Yep.
in my locker room.
Yep.
So what was it? Did I play with 6 my sophomore year? So my freshman and sophomore year was Dante Fowler.
Okay.
For sure. For sure. My freshman year, let me take that back. My freshman year, it was Dominic Easley.
Okay.
Dominic Easley, defense lineman. He wore number 2. He got hurt so many times, still made it to the league. He still had a pretty good career, ended up getting hurt again. But
Mm-hmm.
Dominic Easley, he held it down for us. And so my sophomore year, I played with Dante. Dante, and I would say we had some pretty good linebackers. So we had Jared Davis. We had he played for the Lions, and we had
Mm-hmm.
Alex Anzalone.
So
He was hurt a lot too.
what was it? What was it about Dante? Dante Fowler, for listeners out there, is a Lakewood high school alum who had a good has had a very good NFL career in recent stint with Washington. They just got knocked off by Philly, but Dante Fowler, defense end at Florida. So what was it about Dante that just like his presence was just that guy? What was it about him?
It was Saturdays. It was Saturdays, right? When that ball kicked off, he was different. It
Hmm.
looked different. It felt different. When he was out there, it's crazy. It
Hmm.
was a different type of feeling. I always say he's the best football player that I've seen that I play with, right? And I say football just all around in general, just what he can do and the stuff that he was doing and the problems that he was causing. Now that I understand football a little bit more and I understand the run game a little bit more and I understand defensive line a little bit more, and I look back and I think about some of the stuff that he was doing,
Hmm.
it's actually ridiculous, right? It's kind of like I don't compare him to Clowney, but that's the type of stuff that he was doing at Florida.
Right.
Now, mind you, I wish we won more games, so it would have been on a national level. But some of the stuff that he was doing against some of these so-called good tackles, and I mean, he was just making them look like kids. And I'm just like, this is crazy. This
Hmm.
is crazy because he's one of those guys that could just roll out of bed and just play good,
Right.
right? You don't have to, like, for me, I got to go stretch and warm up and do that. He can just, what time's the game? All right, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Go get a few sacks. And so that was the difference. So for him, it was just on game day, he's going to make a play or 2 or 3. Right, you're going to see him out there, so it's going to make, and he's gonna elevate your game. He made everybody on the defensive line good because they had to play good playing with him. Because going to the film room, it's just all right. So why y'all not doing this? He's doing it. Why y'all not doing this? Right. So you have to play good. You had to step up.
Dante wore 6 at Florida. I believe he's still in 6 right now at Washington. Tell us the story how you got number 1.
Okay, let's get into it. So I commit to Florida, and I get to school now, and little off-season workouts are done, and we're about to start training camp. So T-Rob, he just asked me what number I wanted. He sent me some options. Actually, no. Yeah. So he sent me some options, and the lowest number I can get was 16 at
Ugh.
the time. That was the lowest.
Ugh.
Yeah. So I
That
took it.
looked terrible.
Right. Yeah, that wasn't good. That wasn't good. Right. I looked at it like 28, 29, 32. So I took the lowest number I can get, and I said, "Hey, coach, I'll take 16, but if I get a pick in the first game,
Oh,
then you have to get 1."
who was wearing 1 at the time?
Nobody on defense.
Okay.
They
All right.
haven't they didn't get nobody. Somebody on offense had it, but it didn't really hit the same. It
Okay.
didn't really hit the same level. But nobody on defense had it. And Muschamp told me, he was like, he was just kind of like, no, you got to. He's like, you have to earn it. And cool. So this is all training camp. Now, mind you, I just told the story about how I didn't know I was starting. I didn't know. So I made this bet with and I wasn't even starting. I wasn't even. So he looked at me. He kind of laughed. He was like, all right. Like, I looking
Right.
back on it, I see his face. He's just like, all right, yeah, I got you. Crazy, and so that's why I mean that's why I told that story because
Yeah.
I didn't know. I like me.
Right.
That's really what it was. I like me. I like myself. So cool. We get to the game, Toledo game, same game I just said. The game starts. I'm like, oh no, I'm not even playing. Like, what's going on? Right?
I'm gonna be
Cool. He
stuck
ends
in
up putting me
16 for the rest of the
right.
season.
And I didn't even think about that. I wasn't even thinking that deep. I'm not even playing. I'm like, what's going on?
Right.
Right? So we get into the game, boom, and I got this big old joker, man. He's about 6'4". I'm like, good Lord. And this is like my first realization of like staying warm and you have to stay loose. Like I get out there, I'm thinking I'm in high school. Let's go. Roll out of bed. Movie. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go do it. Man, I get out there and I'm like, oh, I'm stiff. I'm like, oh, Jesus. I got to like do a little stretch. And I'm like, oh, Lord, I get to the sideline. I'm like, oh, geez, whatever. Because the I was covering, he was a big old joker, 6'4". He was just out there. He was kind of long, whatever. He was just running me off. He was just running me off like fast. I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, golly. I'm like, if they throw this, he's going to catch it. Like that. I'm like, Lord. But they were doing some whole other play to the other side, right? So second series comes in, and he has a real cut split this time. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm getting a route this time. Like, it's like a real cut split. And it ended up being like he just ran like a bang 8 on me. And I was in press coverage, though. I slid it from the inside, slid it from underneath, picked it. And when I picked it, like I couldn't really get jiggy how I wanted to. I couldn't really, so I just go down. So I just went down, so I didn't really get hit because there's some linemen coming on me. So I just get down. And when I slid, that's when it hit me. I was like, oh, I'm getting one.
Oh, yeah, he got to get up.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you watch the video, you can see my celebration. All my teammates are trying to celebrate with me, and I'm weaving them. I'm going straight to coach. I'm trying to find coach. As soon as I see him, I'm like, give me my jersey.
What did he say? What did he say on the sideline?
He's like, that's what I'm talking about. He's like, that's what I'm talking about. He's like, he didn't say nothing about the jersey, though, but I told him, I was like, give me my jersey. He's like, I told you. I was like, I told you.
So let's jump into when did the picture start to take place of, okay, I'm about to be an NFL prospect, and these cats are talking like first round stuff. They're talking about early pick stuff. Like when that starts taking place, what is your thought process?
So let me tell you something funny. And so there's an aura about wearing number 1 at Florida on defense.
Okay.
Right. That's a thing. That's a thing. And now I think that tradition kind of fell off a little bit. Now they still kind of do it a little bit. Like you have to kind of earn one at Florida now, but it's not the same, right? It's not the same as it once was, right? Because if you think about the guys before me that wore one, it's crazy. Percy, you got Janoris Jenkins. I think Chris Rainey might even wore one.
Chris Rainey wore one. Yep.
Yeah, but just some guys, like guys really wore that number.
So at the same time, at Notre Dame, it's jersey 3. All right. So at jersey 3, you got to be a dude for them to put on 3, because you talk about Montana, you're talking about Arnaz Battle, you're talking about some dudes that wear number 3. So they don't even allow it. Well, when I was there, they didn't give anybody 3 until they earned that jersey number. You had to be a guy for them to put 3 on you. But go ahead.
Right. And that's kind of how it was at Florida. Like Muschamp kind of had that rolling, when I was there. Like you couldn't just get one.
Right.
So, what was
so you're an NFL prospect now, but you're not just an NFL prospect now. You're like a early pick guy. Like they talking mid first round, early first round. What's going through your head at 21 years old? Like, this shit might hit, bro. I might be a first round pick.
Yeah. So, okay, now I remember what I was saying. So that aura goes around number 1, right? So it's a funny thing how football works. I believe in the football gods, and that's kind of why I'm saying this story. So I get the jersey number, and I can't remember. I don't think I practiced in it that week. I think I still had 16.
Okay.
Right, but I think Coach said that he was like, you'll get it. He's like, you'll get it, whatever. So I wasn't really thinking about too much. I think I still practiced in 16, and we're playing Miami. We're going to Miami, and they're doing a whiteout. Right, that's when they had Duke Johnson, and they had who's that receiver? They had number 4, a Blazer, fast guy. I can't remember his name.
Me either.
So we're traveling to Miami, and I'm still in 16 all week in my practice jersey. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe they'll give it to me like next week. But like I said, I'm not sure. I don't really care. Like I did what I know. Coach will give it to me eventually, right? So I said the thing about the aura about number 1 at Florida. Everybody knows, especially defensively. We know. Like, so I told all my DB, I told them the bet I made. So they're like, oh, that's dope. Like, so that's cool. So they all trying to figure it out. Cool. We walk into the locker room at Miami at Miami Stadium. And we walk into the locker room, and a few of the DBs were in there before me, and they just stopped sort of right in front of my locker, and they like, oh, they're like, no, he got number 1. I hear it before I even walk into the locker room.
Oh yeah.
I hear it.
Oh yeah.
They like, oh, like my boy Poole, that's my best friend, B Poole. He's like, oh, they done gave Barn 1. I'm like, what? I don't even see it though. So I walk around the corner, I bend the corner, I look up, boom, they got my jersey sitting up there, Hargraves the third with the number 1 on it. I'm like, oh. And I was like, this it. I was like, this it. This is it. Like, this is my freshman year. But like, I'm like, yeah. Cause it was like that, the feeling that my teammates gave me, the older guys respected me. Now they were like, okay, I see you. They were like, okay, you got that 1 on. I see you. You know what I'm saying? And it was just, there were some guys that I really like. Dominic Easley was one of those guys who played on the defensive line. Some of the guys that I really looked up to, just how they played. Dante, my boy Poole, Marcus May. Even my classmates like Keanu Neal, Nick Washington, just how they saw me and how they looked at me. They were like, yeah, they were like, and it was all like encouragement. They were like, you that, like, go be that. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I kind of grew into, I'm like, I'm number 1 at Florida, and this is what it's gonna be. And that's kind of where I grew into who I was, and I decided like, I'm like, yeah, this is what it's gonna be. Ended up getting another pick, so it ended up helping. And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm going to the league.
That's tough. That's tough. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna be the best player, and I'm gonna show everybody why I'm the best player.
And, that's a good one. That's a good one. So my Bucks pick you up at 11. I remember your first training camp because we were there to come see your first training camp. Your first NFL game. All right. Actually, back up. And just correct me if I'm wrong, but these are notes that I was taking. When you came in, Brent Grimes was there, Jonathan Banks, Alterum Vernon was there. So you're learning from these guys how to be an NFL player. And at that time, Brent Grimes is at maybe the pinnacle of his game. He had been around. He came from Miami. He comes here with the Bucks. He's a scrappy guy, a lot of energy. What what did you take from those guys, or what's an interesting note or story about those 3 guys that you were learning from and competing with at the same time?
Yeah. So my rookie year, it was Alteron Burner and Jonathan Banks. Banks ended up getting traded like mid training camp. So it was really Alteron.
Okay.
It was me and Alteron, and man, I love him to death. Still talk to him sometimes, but he's a savvy vet, knows how to play the game. He understands the game, and what I got from him, what he taught me the mental aspect of it. Right, Alteron, he's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, but he knows how to get the ball. Right, it's amazing how he knows how to get the ball, reading quarterbacks, reading routes. And so as a young player, I still didn't understand it. But as I grew older, I understood what he was saying, what he meant by he didn't really teach me how to watch film, but he told me what to look for and why certain things are why they are, especially in the NFL, right? Because the game doesn't change. Like, teams do what they do, and certain players line up in certain places for a reason, right? And he kind of instilled that into me. Right, where it's not so like you're not gonna be faster than everybody. He used to tell he's always tell me he's like I'm not faster than none of these receivers. He was like, but they're not gonna be deep, you know. And that's kind of just one of the little conversations that we had. But it was just getting that mental aspect of it. Taking like that's 50% of it. 50% of it is taking care of your body and making sure you're ready to play, and then 50% is knowing what you're gonna get, knowing what's about to happen, right? Or at least having an idea. And that's where he really helped me. He really like kind of slowed that part of it for me down, because I was just going out there just trying to cover, and that wasn't working. Right, these guys are good. They're better. They're faster. Quarterbacks are elite, and so I had to kind of sit back and kind of really had to work on my game. Really had to watch. You have to watch football. You have to learn football. You have to fall in love with it, and that's kind of the aspect that he brought towards me.
You were there with Mike Evans, correct?
Yep.
How hard of a cover is Mike Evans?
He's the best. He's the best, and I always say about Mike, he plays receiver like a DB, right? DBs want to get up and be physical. Come on. He's like, come on, let's do it. Let's go for it, right? I always he watches a lot of boxing highlights. Like he's big into boxing, and I remember just walking by just random day, walking by practice, and I was just seeing him chilling in his locker. He had his phone posted in his locker, and he's watching boxing highlights. And I'm like, I get it. That's how he plays. Like, he plays like a heavyweight fighter, right? So, and he's also a elite enough athlete to where if you don't get up in his face, he can cook you if you're off. He's fast enough, he's shifty enough to break your cushion and run by you, to break your cushion and come back to the ball, however which way you want it, he can give it to you, and he's 6'4". Right, and you know what I'm saying. I don't have to speak about Mike. You know what I'm saying. He's one of the best and tough.
Yeah.
Tough. You gotta. I don't even know. Ain't nothing really. You gotta hope that you know what I'm saying. You gotta hope that you're in good position. You can get an elbow down. You
All
know what
right.
I'm saying.
All right. So stay there. Who else was like that? Who else was like that you covered? You're like, yo, I just got it. I just got to do the bare. I got to do the bare minimum here because this.
Right.
I got to. Who
Right.
who
So
else? Who else was that?
I always talk about Amari Cooper.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? One of my favorite. He's actually one of my favorite guys to cover. One of the hardest guys to cover.
Yeah.
Because he is a typical Miami athlete. Miami 5-star athlete. That's him. He could do anything. He could play defense if he wanted to. Like he's just
And y'all go back.
fast.
Y'all go back to college days too at Alabama when
Yep.
y'all. Yep.
Yep. That was my first little test to where I thought I could. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was right. I wouldn't say he humbled me because I knew who he was. Right, but that was my first test. Like, coach was like, "You want to track him?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to track him." He's like, "Go follow him." You know what I'm saying? And I did. You know what I mean? I did okay. He caught He caught a
It
fade on me.
happened. Right.
Hold on, I want that back. I want that fade back. Right.
Amari, my man, wants that fade back.
I want that fade back. I want that fade back. You know, he that same game though, he took me on an over. He took me on an over route, and at the time in college, I'm getting strong. I'm getting real strong. I'm squatting a whole bunch. My weight's getting up. So usually when I hit guys, they're going down.
Right.
Right. But this is Alabama. This is a whole different. This is when I was like, oh, Bama's different. Like they're different. This is my first time playing them. He runs the over route. And I'm coming top down. So I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna take his legs out. I got him.
Right.
I go to hit his legs and like he don't even feel me. He just keeps running. Don't even feel me. Just keep running. I hit him and I turned. I was doing all types of spins and I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, yeah, I see why he's who he is. You know what I'm saying? Because I thought I was strong. I'm like, no, I got to get back in that weight room. I got to get back right. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. And then but he had a day on me. Raiders versus the Bucks. I can't remember what year. It might have been my second year.
They played us here. We played at home.
Overtime game was hot
Yep.
as ever.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
he worked me out that game. I ain't gonna lie. He worked me out that game. He had a few big catches on me.
Yep.
But still one of the.
I think you had a pick. I think you had to pick that game though, didn't you?
No. I had a good pass breakup. I had a few good pass breakups.
Okay.
But yeah, we ended up losing on a slant. They threw a slant and they took it for 6.
Okay.
Some other guy scored. Yeah. But yeah, he's a fun guy to cover because it's competition all game, right? Competition all game. But I'll give you one more. Let's see who else is real tough. Cooper Kupp.
Okay.
Oh Lord.
Why?
Oh Lord.
Talk to me.
He understands the game. He has Matt Stafford at quarterback. And when did I play them? Was it Matt Stafford? It had to be Matt. I played him in Houston, my last year in Houston.
Okay.
And so crispy, coach.
Yeah.
Crispy routes, in and out his breaks, him and the quarterback on time. If you break on time, you late. That type of vibe. And it's just frustrating. Like, come on. Because he's not faster than you. He's not like stronger than you. You know what I'm saying? You can get up there, you can press him, you can get hands on, but it's just at the top of the route. It's just catch. And then he's going to break one too. And it's like, come on, dude. It's like, I know I can cover you.
Take these 3 LSU receivers. All right, Jefferson, Chase, Neighbors. What makes them different, man?
Mindset. Mindset. They play the game like I always say, like defensive players, right? You know how we think. We have a different mindset. It's like it's kill. See ball, get ball. That's how they play. That's how they play. That's how Jamar plays. That's how Justin plays. Justin's like, when that ball's in the air, I promise I'm catching it. Jamar, same thing. Throw it up to me. I'm coming down with it. They have that attitude. And when I was in Cincy, I actually got to see and I got to see them practice. And just Jamar's like his demeanor, like we're not playing no games out here, right? Especially game day vibes. Like when we're out there, like it's like, Joe, get me the ball. Like I'm not playing. I'm not going to drop. Throw it to me, right? And that's the difference, right? That's the attitude. Not a lot of guys want to go out there and say, throw it to me on 3rd down. Give it to me. Like, and if you don't, I'm going to come get in your ear about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not a lot of guys say that. They can say it off camera, off season, workouts. Oh yeah, I want the no. But game time in the playoffs, I saw it. You know what I'm saying? Just how they communicate and how they get things done. And it's just it's all up here. It's all up here. It's a want-to thing, and it's a I'm better than you. And even if I'm not, I'm still better than you.
Mm.
You know? And that's the difference.
So you did 6 years in the league, right? I
Yep.
think it was 6 seasons, right? 6 years. Cats that think they want to get there, right? They want all the perks that come with being NFL players. What is it behind the scenes they have no clue about? What's the good, bad, and the ugly about being a first round draft pick?
Well, you're gonna get ridiculed. You're gonna get ridiculed. Like your life is now. I wouldn't say public because it's not like you're a celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, in some cases you may be, depending on what you do in college and especially where you go, you could be. If you go to New York, you're a celebrity. So that's one part of it. And I don't know nothing about being a celebrity, so I couldn't tell you that. But, you know, there is a lot that comes with being a first rounder, especially if people know who you are and where you are, right? Because this is
Mm-hmm.
gonna come out, it's gonna get recorded, right? So nothing's private anymore for you. And then your relationships with people, male or female, those become what's the word? They'll I'll say those also don't become private anymore. And I say that because if you do something to upset them, what's the first easiest thing to do? Post it.
Mm-hmm.
Post whatever you said, post whatever you did, just to make you look bad, just
Right.
to affect your career. Right. And that's kind of the scary part.
Mm.
Right. And I think that's where guys got to be. You got to be cautious about who you talk to, how you move, what you say, especially with women, how you're treating women. We all see it. We all, you know what I'm saying? We're all online. We all see the horror stories. You know, you do something, but you treat a woman bad and boom, next thing you know, all your dirty laundry's online, right? Just that fast. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's really the downfall. So you really just gotta you gotta lock into to what you know and to the people that you really trust. And you can't live a crazy lifestyle anymore. Like you can't really live exactly how you want to. I would say, right? Some
Mm-hmm.
guys just want to hang out and be free and do stuff out in the open, and not really, right? Not really. You kind of gotta tune it in and understand that people are trying to get you. They if they can come up off you, they will.
Do you think that staying in Florida for the majority of your football career was an advantage or a hindrance?
For me, it was an advantage because I'm a homebody. I'm a chill person. By default. I never really liked going out. Never really did the partying too much. That just wasn't me. That's just not my personality, right? I'm inside. I like to play the game. Especially in college, I like to play the game, and that was what I did. You know what I'm saying? I like to play football and play the game. So for me, it was easy, and I like being home. I like being close to home. So for me, it was perfect. I couldn't have drawn it out any better, right? For me, only better thing that could have happened was if I was still playing for the Bucks right now. That's if that was that my life would be literally a movie. Like it would be perfect, right? So staying in Florida, that was perfect for me. I loved it. And mind you, coach, I moved here my sophomore year, so I didn't have a gang of friends and family and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Up in Tampa, I lived in Miami, right? I
Mm-hmm.
had some friends in Miami and some stuff like that, right? But I was in Tampa. That's you know what I'm saying. That's
Right.
not that right. So staying in Florida, it was perfect because I wanted to be in this good weather, right? And I was in a state where I felt like where I was comfortable, right? I wasn't really comfortable in North Carolina because it was country. I was living in the country. I
Right.
went from the city to the country, and I
Right.
knew like, okay, yeah, this is not. I can't. I don't know about the camo and going deer hunting and deer jerky, and I don't know about all that. Like playing baseball, it's like, I don't know. Like I need to get back like down to Miami where we outside playing throwback tackle football in the street and all that. Like that's where I need to get. Right. So staying in Florida was perfect for me. I loved it. Couldn't have drawn it up any better. And I didn't even funny when I was getting drafted, didn't even like really put two and two. Like my agent, he kind of kept it under wraps about. He didn't really tell me too much. Like, oh, you're going to go here, you're going to go there. He didn't really do all that with me. He was like, we got a shot. We're going to go in the first round. You know what I'm saying? We'll see how it plays out. And I didn't even really pay attention too much to the draft board and where Tampa was, and looking back on it now, it was like perfect, like literally perfect where I would have, where I would have dropped anyway. So it worked out perfect for me. I loved it.
Well, we can't end this without talking about the competitiveness, if you will, of you and your siblings. And now when I say competitive, I'm not talking about at each other, but just the level of
I got
success. Yeah.
time, coach, because
The
we started early. So you
yeah,
got it.
yeah. I just want you to speak on just your family, just the family structure and how they supported you, your sister, your siblings, and your parental structure.
Oh man, I can't talk about my family enough, coach. So it's kind of you're gonna be hearing this, so how my family is because you've been around us. But
Mm-hmm.
real close family, real tight knit family. It's really just us five, my mom, my dad, my two sisters. Because my dad's a coach, we had to move around a little bit, so we kind of got removed from our real family up in Connecticut. Our real family, our
Yeah.
majority of our family
Yep.
that's up in Connecticut. That's where I'm from. That's where I was born, right?
Right.
My parents are from. So they're up in Connecticut, right? But we had to move around. So it kind of just made us, saying tight knit as a family, us five. And man, my it was we were all raised the same way. It's just don't complain. I'll say this, just solution based, right? If there's a problem, fix it. Don't complain, don't cry, don't do all that, fix it. Get to the issue and fix it. And whatever we do, um, let's just be the best at it. Let's just be the best at it. And I think my biggest sister, she set the example because it wasn't sports for her. She didn't play sports, but she was always smart. She was always smart in school, always getting good grades, and she never got in trouble. Right. So when I was growing up, I was I was a boy, like I was just a boy, right? So a boy's get in trouble, right? I'm talking about as a kid now. I'm going back
Mm-hmm.
to my childhood, right? As a boy, boys get in trouble. We get into stuff. I wasn't a bad kid. I was just getting into stuff and just doing bad stuff, like just doing stuff to make my mom mad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. My oldest sister, she never got in trouble, never, like never. She was perfect, like she was perfect, got good grades, this, that, and third, and that was my example. And that's kind of, I think that kind of molded me into being like, okay, just because they doing that don't mean I got to do that, right? As far as who I'm hanging out with, my friends, et cetera, and like just staying out of trouble, right? I think that's a lot of things for young men growing up is trouble. Like getting in trouble early derails you, right? And you don't even see it as a kid. You don't see that little bit of trouble that you did, whatever it is, either getting suspended or even getting arrested as a young kid, how much it can affect you going forward, right? And I think just having good examples of like my sister, my older sister, my mom and my dad, they just they got they bro they just they it was easy. They just guided me. They told me which ways to go. Don't do this, don't do that. And I had a great example that I was looking up to, my sister, right? As far as just in life aspect, it wasn't sports. Sports, I was always a dog. I always had it in me, right? I was crying when I would lose in Pop Warner basketball games. My mom used to have to. It was crazy. My mom used to have
Mm-hmm.
to bring me back to the car to go shake hands with other teams because I'm crying. I done ran off the
Mm-hmm.
court, right? So the competitiveness was never an issue, and I think my dad saw that early, right? Because I wanted to get into this as far as football goes, and a lot of people may think that my pops was my coach, Pop Warner, made me play, made me train. Let me tell you, never worked out with my dad.
Mm.
To this day, never worked out with him, and it's not like we wanted it that way or anything like that.
Right.
One, he was busy, he was coaching, and two, he understood the dynamic between father son and coach son,
Right.
and he didn't want the coach son dynamic, right? Because you don't necessarily always like your coach,
Mm-hmm.
right? To play for him, you don't have to like the dude to necessarily play good for him. Like he could be a great coach, but a terrible personality wise, but he's a good coach. He's gonna get me to where I get to, so I'll go play for him, right? And
Right.
I think my dad understood that dynamic real early because it was never let's watch this film. Hey, son, you got to go work out. Hey, you have to do this. I was already doing it, right? That's what he'll tell you when we talk about it. He said, "You already doing it. I didn't have to say nothing."
True.
Right. So that's a little bit of it. I was already doing it because I wanted to. I enjoy playing football. I enjoy being outside, going to work out anyway. So that
Yep.
was a part of it. Two, my dad, he stayed out the way and he interjected just when he needed to. And I thank him so much to this
Mm-hmm.
day because you always hear stories about the coaches' kids and their dad coached them their whole life, and then like you see their relationship. If it happens to be on camera and you see the relationship, and it's like he don't even like his pops for real. Like
Right.
you yelling at him the whole time, and like it's not. I want a dad. I want my dad. I wanted my dad to be my dad, and
Correct.
he knew that before I did. And that I think really, 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 really helped me. And because he stayed out the way, he was like, "Look, if you got questions, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Go do your thing. Go work out, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be." And I think that's kind of sums up what our family is and like how we are. And this is crazy. I know I'm kind of rolling with the words right here, but all my sisters went to Florida,
Boom.
which is cool. And I talk about that a lot. But my oldest sister, she popped it off. We were in North Carolina, and this is when Tim Tebow was at Florida.
Okay.
And he was crazy. And I did not like Tim Tebow at all. And my big sister, her name is Karina, she just swore she wanted to go to Florida. But we're in North Carolina. And so I'm thinking she's going to go to UNC
Mm-hmm.
or Duke, UNC or Duke. And she's just so pressed on coming to Florida. And I'm like, I remember asking, I'm like, where is Florida at? Like, where is it? Like, where is Gainesville? I'm like, you're going to go all the way to Gainesville. I'm like, we're in North Carolina. Like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm going to Florida. Her and my mom, they got into it. Because my
They
mom was
got
like, you're not going to Florida. Da, da, da,
what?
da. And she's like, I'm
And,
going to Florida.
and the rest is history, huh? Everybody went to Florida.
Hey, I went, and then my little sister came right behind me, man. Crazy.
Well,
Crazy.
Vernon, man, hey, we appreciate all the time. I know you got to run. So we're gonna check back in, and you're always welcome on the show. Real quick, shout out what you got going on, please, with the podcast and everything else you got going on.
Yeah, so I'm in my podcast studio right now. I started a podcast probably 2 years ago. The Slightly Decent Pod. That's the name of it on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube. Tell you a little bit about the pod. It's locker room talk, right? It's locker room talk. It's nothing too serious. Very, very, very lighthearted. Right now we're watching film. Well, right now I just got into live streaming, right? So now we're live streaming, so I can pull up reactions. So now we're reacting to the games or watching the highlights of the games. The guys are playing video games against each other. So it's getting pretty fun. It's getting pretty cool. But yeah, I just like to call it locker room talk, right? It's just locker room talk. It's me, Savion Smith. He went to Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
played in the NFL for about 3-4 years. Yeah, she got hurt, hurt his neck. So
Connect me with Savion. Connect me with Savion.
I will. I
Yep.
will. Ryan Davis, he went to Auburn from St. Pete. He's trying to play in the UFL right now or XFL, whatever the league's called. And then I got one of my other friends who didn't play football. His name is Enrique. So we all just get on here, man. It's just guys being guys, man. It's nothing too crazy, nothing too serious. We're not getting into politics or nothing crazy like that. We're really just talking ball and relaxing, having a good time. So y'all go check us out. Sub up to our channel, go like some videos, and then we got some content out. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's Vernon Hargreaves, everybody.